Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to the Lightning Strike, our final show of the 1 hour format. Starting next week, we'll be coming on at 8 o'clock on WCPT, and you can always tune in on the website for heartlandsignal.com to listen to us. Joining me again today is our team of Ken DeLuke, Read Bible, Adriana Alvarez, and Dali Silverberg. Our person of the week is also going to be joining us shortly, but Maria Muzaffar is also on the line with us, and Dr. Sheila White is expected to join us shortly. So again, folks, every single week there are things happening that we really have to pay attention to. We all heard about the Minneapolis school shooting that happened about 10 days back now. The gunman killed 2 children and they're 18 minors at the Ascension Catholic school in Minneapolis. So that is going to be an ongoing thing that is going on, the school shootings and the shootings in general. We're going to have a little talk on that as to when is this thing going to end? Who is going to take care of this? The Trump administration has now announced over 500 job cuts at Voice of America and its parent agency. This is sparking some legal challenges. Chicago's mayor has signed an order outlining measures to resist any potential federal troop deployment in the city. That is very interesting. And a federal appeals court, Ken, ruled that most of Trump's recent tariffs are not legal. And this is causing political and trade repercussions now. People don't know what to do, man. I mean, the importers are holding up bringing in product from overseas. So it is sitting on docks overseas. People here don't know how to price things out. This is a complete boondoggle, for lack of a better word. Okay.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, you're 100% right. And
Okay.
now, I mean, there's a lag effect, Oh, tariffs, that sounds great. Well, tariffs don't really affect everybody's personal lives until it flows down the food chain, basically. Okay. So now you're going to start seeing prices that are going to go up. Your cost of, your cost of living is going to go up. You're not going to be able to purchase the things that you want to do. And as we move into Christmas season, it's going to be very impactful on the people who are, U.S. citizens, because terrorists, for lack of a better word, are stupid. T-FIST, that's my acronym. Trump's Federal Insane Sales Tax. Okay, so write that down, share it with your friends, spread the word. Let's use T-FIST to let people understand what this actually means.
Well, and speaking of things that are costing us more, our show is going to be costing us more. And I'd like to welcome Heather Bird now from Bird's Word Publishing. I was expecting Dr. White to be in here also, Heather. That's why I was kind of keeping you in the waiting room over here. I'm Mohammed Fahim. Thank you so much for joining us. And starting next week, we are going to be on from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10. So we're going to be expanding from 1 hour to 2 hours. Joan Esposito was doing the morning hour from 8 to 9. And today, Turi Ryder was standing in for Joan. And Turi is going to be moving to 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoons. So those are some of the shuffling that is going on. But folks, again, there's a lot to discuss today. And what we are going to do is we're going to take a short break and come back on the other side of the break with our person of the week. And then we will continue the conversation. If you would like to join us, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. We'll take a break in a couple of minutes on that. But again, you're welcome to call, or you can text us. You can also record a message for us during the week, and we will play it for you over here. The number to call in is 312-TLS 8182 if you want to have a recorded message. And starting next week from 8 to 9, we're going to be chock full of phone calls from listeners. The focus is going to be what's on your mind. And that segment is sponsored by Ray Hanania of rayhanania.com. So HANINA, rayhanania.com. So let's get to see. We got Dr. Sheila White joining us. Sheila, good morning. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Okay. So Sheila is joining in just a second. I was already talking to your guest, Sheila, Dr. Bird. I guess it's not Dr. Bird, it's just Heather Bird.
Yet.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Heather, whenever people see me on a golf course or somewhere, they come up to me and introduce themselves as, hello, Dr. Patel, I'm not Dr. Patel, but when they see a brown guy, they assume that the doctor. Okay. So
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on the radio.
Right.
So we got our whole team in here. Read Bible joins us from Nevada every week. Dali is joining us from Ohio. And Adriana is joining us from Chicago. Ken is joining us from Frankfurt. Sheila is joining us from Joliet. I mean, this is becoming a national show of people now.
Oh,
But,
I have to put a plug since you mentioned Frankfurt. Every year, Frankfurt has an event called Frankfurt Fest. It's for the whole Labor Day weekend. It started yesterday, it's today and tomorrow. And there's about 50,000 people that come to this event, and it's amazing. It's a great time. For once, the weather's great. We don't have a heat index of 95. You know, it's very comfortable. There's, I think, over 5,000 vendors that are out there, you know, from all over the world, basically selling their wares and, you know, doing stuff. There's bands. So if you're in the South Chicagoland area and you got nothing better to do, come check it out. It's an experience and it's a great time.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody for a few minutes now, for a few seconds, not minutes, while we take an ad break, and we'll be back on the other side of the break. Thank you.
Have no fear with regard to renewable energy. If you own property, either residential or commercial, in Northern Illinois, you most likely qualify.
Back in 40 seconds.
Federal, state, and utility incentives. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. You can have a no-cost, no-obligation conversation with a ComEd Greenlight expert that can help you figure out which incentives you qualify for. Again, call 630-785-0031 for a free, no-cost, no-obligation assessment. 630-785-0031.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike. And if everyone could please unmute so we can hear your sweet voices this Sunday morning. And we got Dr. Sheila White with our Person of the Week. Sheila, it's all yours.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome our Person of the Week. Her name is Heather Bird, and she's with Bird World Publishing. She helps individuals to be able to publish books. There's a lot of manuscripts out there that need to be published so we can hear your story. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Bird to the Lightning Strike this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Heather, let's talk a little bit about, there are people that have stories, they have manuscripts. Some people don't know where to begin. What are some things that individuals can do that have an idea that want to write a book?
Absolutely. So one of the first things that you can do is really build the habit of writing. If you think about running a marathon, you don't just hop into running a marathon, you train for that. And so the same way that you can train for writing a book is making sure you're setting aside 20 to 25 minutes every single day to journal. That puts you in the habit of writing. And then once you move from there, you're able to move into the brainstorming stage and you'll have at least 3 to 5 books inside of you.
Now, when you talk about the brainstorming stage, a lot of people are writing things on note paper and trying to keep track. But when they have these ideas that they have written down, what's the next step that they could do to make it easier for a publisher to be able to say, okay, you're ready? Because a lot of people don't know about editing. Can you go through that process of after they have their notes written down, what is the next steps that they should do for a publisher?
Absolutely. So once you have all of your notes written down, you want to take a look at that piece of paper and really begin to categorize the things that you are seeing. Once you know what sort of themes are emerging from your brainstorm, you have an idea of where your manuscript could actually go. So depending on the publisher, some publishers only work with you once you have your manuscript in a draft editing phase. One of the things that makes Birds World Publishing different is that we work from you all the way from idea to holding your book in your hand. So if that's work that needs to be done, looking at things from a bird's eye view, pun intended, that is something that we could actually help you with.
I love that from the bird's eye point of view.
Okay.
There are so many stories that are out there. Let's talk a little bit about the financing because it's so difficult. People think you have to have a lot of money, like Ken DeLuke, to be able to purchase, to be able to do a book. So, what are some of the financial aspects to be considered when you're trying to publish a book?
Absolutely. So once you have your manuscript written, depending on if you use a coach or not, some of the things that you want to be able to think about when it comes to the budget is the editing. You want to make sure you have a line editor, developmental editor, proofreader. You want to make sure that you have finances for your book cover. Whether or not you're going to do an ebook or paperback or hardback, all of those things are important to think about, along with interior designing and thinking about advertising costs. A lot of folks focus on the writing of the book and getting the draft, and they forget that you have to let people know you've written this book. You have to market. So you want to make sure that you have the funds to market your book as well.
Heather, I have a question for you.
Yes, go on.
Unfortunately, like my lifestyle, it's very hard to just sit down for an hour or two and read a book because my day doesn't have enough hours in it to make that happen.
Mhm.
So but I love reading. I love, learning. I love, taking what people have written, and I go to like the Audible book format and everything. Now, with what you do you also offer an opportunity to take writers and have them go ahead and express their thing on an Audible format? And if that's something you're not doing, I have people. I know a guy. Anyways, so talk to me and we can help make that happen. I was just curious.
I am always looking to expand my network. So whoever you have, I would love to be in conversations with them. In terms of Birds World Publishing, we partner with other people to make that happen. So we don't have the capabilities. So I would love to be able to have conversations and see what a collaboration could look like.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Now, another question I have, there's auto books, there's, the written books. What is the trend nowadays? Because a lot of people, as Ken was saying, they don't have time, but is auto books, the thing now?
It depends on the person, right? Like I'm someone who I love a good bookstore. So paperback books, hardback books will never go out of style for me. So I love being able to hold them. And at the same time, sometimes my brain is not able to comprehend or I have a long drive ahead of me. And so I actually pair the physical copy of the books with something like Audible. I also use like tools to help with comprehension, like the feature on our computers, or I might use Speechify to help read the book to me as I'm holding it. So it kind of just depends on the best way that people learn, the time that they might have. Audible is a big thing, along with using Libby, which is through our library system. So it depends on how the person learns, to be honest.
Okay, Heather, we got 1 minute to wrap up. So any final thoughts that you could share? I mean, I love the idea of holding a book in my hand. I mean, I do that every day. I have to read something that is written
Yes.
down on a piece of paper. Okay. Call it old fashioned, and Dolly and Adriana are like, oh yeah, old guy wanting to read something on paper, right, guys?
Trust me, I still use books. I go to a
Okay.
writer's college. There's a whole
Yeah.
library.
Okay.
Yes.
Not just pulling your leg. Adriana, when was the last time that you actually read something written on a piece of paper?
It was actually a few days ago.
Okay.
We're doing
So,
it. We're holding the books.
right. So, for the upcoming generation now, what would be your advice as far as becoming a reader is concerned?
Mm. Make sure you're consuming something at least 10 minutes a day. something that's tangible that you can hold. Because information, as we see, it's trying to be removed from us. And so
Right.
make sure that you are engaging in something, maybe even with someone else, and keeping yourself accountable for that.
And if someone wants to get in touch with you to have their book published, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me at Birds World Publishing. That's BYRDS World Publishing. I'm also Blue Birds World on all social media platforms. So that's BLUBYRDS WORLD.
Thank you so much, folks.
Thank
That
you
was
so much for having me.
not doctor. I keep on saying Dr. Sheila. You have spoiled me over here now.
I'll take it.
Okay. Heather Bird from Birds World Publishing as our person of the week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll take a quick break and come back on the other side of the break with Read Bible and his take on what happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, with this guy who came in from Israel and tried to molest a 15-year-old girl. And he was actually allowed to go back to Israel without any consequences. And Reed and I are going to be getting into it a little bit into the weeds. So into the weeds with Reed. How does that sound, Reed? Okay, you need to unmute yourself. You're still muted. So Reed, unmute yourself. And folks, quick break, and we'll be back on the other side of the break with Read Bible if he can unmute himself. If not, I will be speaking for him. Okay, let's see.
I think I just unmuted myself. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a commercial going in now? I don't hear it. Anywho.
Have no fear with regard to renewable energy. If
Hey,
you own
Mario,
property,
if
either
you're
residential or
presentable,
commercial in
can you
Northern
put
Illinois,
yourself on?
you most likely qualify for massive federal, state, and utility incentives. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. You can have a no-cost, no-obligation conversation with a ComEd green light expert that can help you figure out which incentives you qualify for. Again, call 630-785-0031 for a free, no-cost, no-obligation assessment, 630-785-0031.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the Lightning Strike. Joining me now, our co-host, Read Bible, all the way from Nevada. Read.
Good morning, Mohammed. Good morning, team.
What's your read now on this?
Well, there was an incident here in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, Las Vegas, Henderson, because I live in Henderson, about 3 weeks ago. That was illustrative of the President Trump's double talk and hypocrisy regarding purported crackdown on sex crimes against children and the control exercised by the Israeli government, by Netanyahu over our government. Apparently, Trump is okay with allowing Israeli pedophiles who would prey upon children in the United States to just go home after they're finished with impunity. As I mentioned 3 weeks ago, one Mr. Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, who is the executive director of the Defense Division of the Israel National Cyber Directorate, was caught up in an undercover sting here that was coordinated between the Henderson, Nevada Police Department, the FBI, and DHS. Alexandrovich, who works again for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was arrested here for attempting to lure someone into sexual intercourse whom he believed to be 15 years of age. In other words, a teenage girl. And he did it through the internet. Well, as it turned out, the person he believed was a 15-year-old turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. And he was one of 8 people that were caught, but he was the only alien who was caught up doing this. So Mr. Alexandrovich was not charged with a federal crime here, which was very odd because what he was doing could very well have been charged federally, but instead our acting U.S. attorney here, a woman by the name of Sigal Chattah, she chose to defer criminal prosecution to the local state prosecutor here in Clark County. And he was charged with a sex act that was called luring a child for a sex act. That was the charge in and of itself, which is basically that's the equivalent of statutory rape, folks. So again, instead of being charged though with federal crime, we went state for some inexplicable reason. And when he appeared in front of a state court judge, the judge allowed him to post a $10,000 bond. He was not required to surrender his Israeli passport, which usually is a standard practice. And I'm certain that the U.S. attorney here would have requested that in any other situation. And then the guy was supposed to come back on April 27th for a hearing, a continuation of his prosecution. But guess what? He got on an airplane, went back to Israel, and he never returned for his follow-up hearing. So that is the status right now. And I doubt very much that there's going to be extradition of this guy.
Well, this Sigal Chattah that you were talking about is a dual Israeli-American citizen. She was born in Israel.
That's
And
right.
I think that when you have a position in law enforcement or something like that, dual citizenship should not be allowed, right? I mean, you have to be an American citizen, period, in order to uphold American law. And
Exactly.
this person did not do it. And if you go back and look, oh, by the way, she has deleted her ex account. And if you, some people are posting some of these screenshots before the account was deleted. That account is so full of hate for others, especially in the Middle East and people from Gaza, it'll blow your mind. And so this person obviously is biased, if nothing else. And I think there should be some kind of an investigation into this, because if Mr. Alexandrovich was to be here, it was a category B felony, and he would have got anywhere from 1 to 10 years plus a $10,000 fine.
Exactly. I absolutely agree with you, Mohammed. Being a retired federal official myself, I've never been keen on dual nationals holding federal government positions of any kind of authority over the prosecution process, because there's just an inherent conflict of interest. This woman is a Trump appointee.
Yes.
And she is not our permanent U.S. attorney here. She is an acting U.S. attorney. She's never been confirmed by the Senate, but she was born in Israel, and she has a U.S. But she's an Israeli citizen in addition to being a U.S. citizen. And she has been noted to have said that she wants to see Gaza wiped off the face of the map, and she has referred to Palestinians as animals and terrorists. Not Hamas, mind you, just all Palestinians.
Yep, and including children. I was reading through some of her ex account before it was deleted. It's absolutely horrible, folks. And that is something that we need to, how do I put it? We need to bring this to the notice of Americans in general. We are so busy trying to make a living and living day to day that these people are really, really just taking advantage of it. We got Susan calling in, and she wants to say a few things on sexual abuse in institutions also. Susan, good morning. You're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. There's been two observations that I have personally made involving trafficking and sexual abuse of children. And one is, when it's a female who's a victim, the gender is revealed. When it's a male who's a victim, it is not revealed in most cases. The other thing is, in terms of protecting children, they're actually protecting the institutions that allow sexual abuse of children to occur, from Congress all the way down to Penn State, to Denny Hastert right here in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Foley, who was his congressional page. These sort of predatory actions go on all around us, but yet they never seem to go where the crimes are really occurring.
And
instead,
Susan, let's not
the institutions are protected.
Let's not forget about
I'd
the
like
Epstein
to know what
files
Mr.
also.
Reed has to say.
Yeah, let's not forget about the Epstein files and the number of people that are allegedly in those files who have been, messing around with little children. So that is also one of the factors, folks, that we need to look at as we go forward.
Hey, Susan, I have a quick question for you. Do you have any idea of how to change this? Is there a policy or there's something that you want to see happen?
Okay, I can hear someone's in the background. Someone's radio is on. Please tune down your radio. Okay, I can hear some radio in the background. If you are, please have listening to the radio, tune us down. And
sir.
Okay, go ahead, please. Whose radio is that? Susan, are you still on?
It was Susan's.
Whoever is
Okay.
enabling and partaking in the sexual abuse and trafficking of children of both genders, females and males.
Well,
Stop
Susan, thank
letting
you so
these
much
people off
for
the
your
hook.
call. And let's go to Breaking the Echo Chamber with Maria Mozaffar. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. And it's good to see you on the radio now over here. We are able to see people on the radio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I feel like my background makes it seem like I'm away in Costa Rica at a resort, but I'm very much in the Midwest.
Okay.
So I wanted to start out by saying, my segment has always been about breaking the echo chamber and talking about issues in a way where they're not politicized. Sometimes it's very difficult to divorce politics from policy, but that is the goal, for us to be able to look at things from a substantive angle. There's a couple of glaring things that happened in this past week that came across my radar. Not that there's not a lot of glaring things in general coming across everybody's radar, but I was approached by a group of physicians that actually are from the US and were trying to go to the Middle East and went to the Middle East and went into Gaza with food, containers of food, and wanted to provide aid and provide food and also provide healthcare. And they flew, and they were, as they landed, denied their visa as an entry when they arrived. And in fact, this was notified to them by the WHO. So I think it's interesting for us to dig in. I mean, just like Susan was saying, there are institutions that create policy and obstacles and frameworks to protect certain situations. And it's interesting to think about what the WHO could gain and who are in the conversations with WHO that actually is in the policy of notifying physicians and saying, I'm sorry, but you will not have access to provide healthcare to a starving population. So I would just ask the audience that's listening to do some research on physicians trying to get into Gaza to help. It's not a politicized matter, right? We always talk about that. This is about life and starving children. What happens to individuals that are not in a political echo chamber, that are trying to just help people, and how are they getting politicized? So I think that's very interesting. There's a report that was released by the WHO that actually speaks about the suspension of visas and how many individuals have been denied. So
Maria, let me ask you a question. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
This is important. By the way, WHO, World Health Organization, okay,
Yes.
for the people who are not sure what the
Thank
acronym
you.
is. But my question is, was this something that was precipitated by the WHO, or is this Israel telling them that, no, you can't have your doctors come in? Where is this coming from? Because I don't understand how the WHO, which for years and years and years has been very philanthropic and, a positive, in the world, where's this coming from? Do you know?
Well, that's what I asked the audience and everybody else to be involved to think about, is who sits at the table in these meetings and these discussions, who has the leverage power in these institutions, and we need to dig deeper in and how these institutions can be politicized. So that's, that is the process. And I think the physicians themselves are stating that as well, that it's become politicized. So that's something that we're going to dig into deeper throughout. And next week as well, you'll see physicians speaking in the media. There's a great story on WBEZ that speaks about that came out last week. So I'm learning as well. The other thing I wanted to speak about is the executive order by the mayor that basically limits the the National Guard coming into Chicago and limits how local law enforcement can help and participate in what the federal agents want them to do. Now, as you know, the cooperation between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement is important for public safety. However, there are many cities and states around the country that have however you define sanctuary, have decided to create limits on where individuals can be detained or questioned or arrested, including hospitals and public schools. And so Illinois has policies where individuals should not be targeted at schools. And so there are places where Illinois local law enforcement have clear directives, and this executive order reaffirms that remember, as a city, in Chicago as a city, and there will be other cities, by the way, that will follow. Mayor Johnson. There are whispers that Aurora will see this as well. That remember that you have agreed to protect places that are supposed to be safe, and families are not supposed to be questioned and terrorized in this manner. And I want to use the word terrorize a little bit because there is pushback about painting these ICE raids and these individuals as being recluse and terrorizing individuals. And I want to use that word because that word has been used out there, and I bring it up because it can be replaced. And I think what we need to replace it with to break this echo chamber is law abiding or not law abiding. So even federal agents need to follow the law. And as I don't know how many people know this, but federal agents do not wear cameras. They do not wear cameras. So if there are federal agents that are invasive when they're not supposed to be invasive or crossing the line, there's really no way to make sure that they are following the law other than individuals in the common public having these videos on the cell phone.
Maria, I have to ask you a question here. This is important. Yeah. If I were to wear a mask over my face, wear a black jacket, and just me being a person, and I were to see someone, say, of Hispanic descent and put them under constraint and throw them into my van, would I be breaking the law?
Yes, you will be. And
my question now, this is the better part, if that happens, what would prevent the Chicago Police Department or whatever local agencies are there to put under arrest these, quote, federal agents that have not identified themselves or anything else? Wouldn't that be a really good example to have things happen, to put on a national platform? We do not have a Gestapo here in the United States. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I've been thinking a lot.
And that is, if this is to happen in Chicago, that conflict will arise. Federal agents are supposed to identify themselves. The directives and orders coming from the federal government explain that they're doing to protect themselves because these agents are being doxxed. These agents are being doxxed. Now, however, when you have a position like a federal agent, that is a risk on your life. But you still go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, please. Sorry, I was trying to pull a statement from Pritzker while you were talking. So go ahead.
Yeah. So and the governor speaks about these issues, but absolutely, federal agents are supposed to identify themselves, and we're supposed to be following law and order. So I want to say that when we talk about these matters, if we talk about it in substantive law, it's a lot more helpful to break the echo chamber because people understand procedure and process needs to be followed, especially by federal agents. And there should be cameras, just like police officers have cameras. So we can, have a process of examining when there has been a violation of the law by someone serving the law. And I want to extend that a little bit to the recent move that's been made by the DOJ, in which they have recruited individuals, lawyers who don't have experience being a judge to play immigration judges. And I say play immigration judges because you have to be a judge. You can't just play one, but they're allowing this for immigration attorneys who do not have much experience being a judge just to deal with the case log. And you can argue, well, there's so many cases that's been logged up, but this is why we have procedures and qualifications. And so we see another loophole where this will be problematic. And I want to end by saying this, is that I speak about the policies that are dehumanizing and what causes them. One, that there's no cameras on federal agents. Second, that there are bonuses, up to $50,000 bonuses for people that sign up with ICE. There's also a drop in any age requirement other than 18 and physical fitness. So when we hear tons and tons of people are signing up to be ICE agents and people really think that ICE is doing the right thing, well, there's tons of people that are being given $50,000 bonuses out of high school. As a incentive. And so the idea that families and children are being dehumanized, the idea that U.S. citizens are being wrongly detained, the idea that ICE agents are targeting children and young people of individuals that are who came across illegally, but who the children came, I mean, those individuals came as children, is a way to create chilling effects in communities, right? When you go after people's children, you're sending a direct message, but it's dehumanizing. Just go after someone who came here at 6 or 5 without any option of their own. So lack of procedure and process, lack of transparency because there's no camera, and then putting in individuals that are not qualified to carry out such extensive procedures is something that we all have to look into and break the echo chamber on. Take it away from the politicized hype and focus on better policy.
And Maria, that's also
Dolly
not
and
forget,
Adriana, I got a homework assignment for both of you. Take the $50,000, sign up for the ICE gig that they're doing, and then you can report undercover on that whole situation. What do you think?
Hey, and let's also not forget, folks, that they have taken away the educational requirement for ICE agents now. You don't have to have a college degree to be an ICE agent. You could be straight out of high school. So Dolly and Adriana, you're wasting your time in college.
Apparently.
Maria, thank you so much for breaking the echo chamber on that. And
I would like to emphasize what Maria is saying, Mohammed, that this has been politicized. And I'm speaking as a retired ICE agent myself, a supervisory one. We used to not go into schools. We used to not go into hospitals. We used to not go into churches. And we're doing that now. We've never worn cameras. I think that's a good idea. But we are supposed to identify ourselves. Unfortunately, the law only allows you to wear insignia indicating what agency you might be from. That is wholly inadequate.
Well,
Thank you.
Much.
And by the way, I just want to bring this up to the individuals because we talk about legislative policy. Those are great. Sorry about that. Those are great things to think about as far as focusing on policy. Number one, cameras, and then expanding what that identification means.
Well, so that's where we are at this point, folks. If you have, Maria, if someone knocks on your door and says, I'm an ICE agent, I know that some of the legislators over here have put up some workshops on how to handle that situation. And so someone comes up, knocks on your door, please do not step out of the house. Talk to them from behind your door. You're not obligated to open the door and answer any questions, to let them into your house.
I have a warrant.
Okay, thank you. And today, Carl Moose is not joining us. Carl is actually celebrating his mother's 95th birthday. So a very happy birthday to Carl's mother. And they're going to be on a cruise somewhere. And Ken, you lose your chance to pontificate now because you came in between and spoke all the time today. So no time for you. So no soup for you.
No, but that's good because Dolly is going to blow me out of the water anyway. So I'm gonna default to her.
So no soup for you, Ken.
For him or him or whatever.
You remember, Ken?
Yeah.
No soup for you. Soup Nazi.
No soup for me. Right,
okay. I think it was before Dolly's and Adriana's time. Do you guys know the reference that I'm giving over here?
Not
I
at
do
all.
not. Not at
Okay.
all.
There was a
Okay, folks.
Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld had a program, a comedy that was very
Yes.
popular back
Remember
in the
now?
day,
Okay,
and
now
he had
it
a
comes
soup
up.
Nazi,
Okay.
and there was like no soup for you, but whatever.
Okay.
You've been
Speaking
unburdened,
of
though.
no soup for you, the United Nations needs to move its headquarters out of America now because we have the United Nations denying, or America rather, the United States denying the visa for the Palestinian representatives to come to the United Nations meeting starting in September. This is unprecedented. It has never been done. And there's a lot of people now, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, all the MAGAs that were out there. They're flipping now, guys. And they're saying this is not how our country should be run. This is Israel telling us how to run our foreign policy,
Exactly.
which is unprecedented again, or maybe not. They've been doing it for quite some time without us realizing it. And now suddenly with social media and people like us talking about things, yeah, people are getting to understand what is happening. So let's go to Adriana. And Adriana, you wanted to
Wait,
talk
wait,
a
wait.
little
No,
bit
Dolly
today.
first. Dolly first.
No. We are going to with Adriana first today. Okay. Dali is going to be the very last person on the show today. So Adriana wanted to talk about the upcoming events in September in the Chicagoland area and how Trump's policies and ICE threatening to come in here and all that is going to be impacting us over here locally in Chicago. Adriana, it's all yours.
Yeah, so for the month of September going into October is Hispanic Heritage Month. And alongside with that, there are so many events that the city is hosting alongside with some that the community does themselves. The reason why it is a month and a month and a half is because Hispanic Heritage Month is the month of September, but going into October and a little into November, Dia de los Muertos also is during that time. So for Hispanic Heritage Month, it does start in Little Village neighborhood, and that will be the 54th annual Mexican Independence Day Parade. That is Sunday, September 14th. Alongside with that weekend, El Grito Chicago is September 13th to the 14th, and that hosts a lineup of live music performance along with local vendors, different kinds of food and cultural experiences. And also there are different places that host Hispanic Heritage Nights, including the baseball teams that we have, the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs, Chicago Fire, and as well as different places, different restaurants, and we have the museum exhibits as well that are in the city. So with all of these different events coming in, there's one big key to it all, and that is the takeover that happens on Michigan Avenue. Now, it's not planned. It is kind of like a spontaneous event where you have the different cars and caravans and crowds that kind of fill in the streets and just show their Hispanic pride, their Hispanic heritage. And it will be, I believe, the 26th year that this happens. Now, with all of these events said, there's one major thing, and that is that the ICE protocols and the threats of the National Guard coming into Chicago. And Hispanics have been a target when it comes into immigration because Mexico's border is closer to us opposed to other countries. Now, the reason why people are a little weary about these events, especially now, they've always been cautious, but it is even more because of what we're seeing of ICE. And yes, there are all the protests happening. We talked about this last week, I believe, with the LA music festivals, and that is the code word for people protesting because of algorithm-based social medias. The government does not want us to see that people are angry about ICE and how people are being treated. You have places like Alligator Alcatraz that, yes, it is in the works to not be a facility, but it was still built. The idea was still there to have people taken there as if it was almost like concentration camps. So people don't really want to go out to these events and flood the streets and be able to show that they're proud of their heritage, they're proud of where they come from, because they fear that they may be taken away by ICE regardless of their status. Those who have green cards and or visas may still be taken away without questioning and be sent away. We've seen it happen. There are news reports and there are government officials that have said that this has happened before. And for those who are very much on the red side, that are very much pro-Trump, are saying, well, it's okay because they don't belong here in our country. But isn't the purpose of the American dream is to have freedom regardless of where you come from?
And it's also the concept of due process in our country, Adriana, which most people who are on the right side of the spectrum don't seem to understand that. But Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signed the executive order, I guess a couple of days back or yesterday. And basically, it says that Chicago police and city officials are prohibited from assisting ICE or federal agents in any joint law enforcement patrols, arrest operations, or civil immigration enforcement activities. The order also affirms that local law enforcement answers to City Hall and not to the federal military or immigration authorities. Federal agents operating in Chicago are urged to avoid wearing masks. Reed, to answer your question, to use body cameras and display their names and badge numbers when interacting with the public. And they are not doing that for most of the cases that we have seen. City agencies must regularly submit requests to the Department of Homeland Security for information about ICE activity and educate residents about their rights at sensitive locations, such as schools and hospitals. And of course, we will continue to talk about it. And Ken, I had to literally switch the schedule from Dolly to Adriana, because this is so important, what is going to be happening, especially with Hispanic Heritage Month coming in. And let's switch gears. And before we do that, folks, if you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. You can call in or in text. And during the week, you can leave us a message on 312-TLS for the Lightning Strike, 312-TLS-8182. And before we go to Dolly and Reed, I also want to do a quick shout out to Ken DeLuke for setting something up for us on September 19th. We are going to have a candidate meet, greet, and sign event from 6 to 9 in Frankfurt at the Southern Charm venues. And thank you so much for setting that up. And we've got about 6 candidates confirmed to come. And
by the way, there's going to be some, if you're in the southwest area of either Cook County or Will County, a lot of the main players who are really important in that area will be there. So if you would like to show up, there's no charge. Come in and you can talk to the candidates and current officials who are in office right now and express your ideas and concerns. So that's on the 19th, Southern Charm venues, Frankfurt, Illinois. Look it up. You'll get the address, and hope to see you there.
And we'll put it up on our website also. So Dolly, thank you so much for patiently listening to all this talk that we have been doing. Let's go back to where we left last week with the Texas redistricting. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I just have a few questions for Reed specifically. Like, I heard that Texas went ahead with their redistricting plan, and I was wondering what this means specifically for Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act as well. What does this mean? Does this mean anything for California and their plan of redistricting? Excuse me. And I just was wondering what you can say about that.
A couple of good questions there, Dolly. Texas, first of all, has 38 congressional districts, and 25 of those are currently held by Republicans. Now with this new redistricting map, if it stands, Republicans are going to have 30 of those seats, not just 25, which means that the Democrats are only going to have what, 8. And you have a state where 60% of the people there live there are not white. So pretty much in Texas, Democrats tend to align with, or I should say racial minorities tend to align with Democrats, and others align with the Republican Party. So you've got 78% of all of Texas's representation will be from white representatives to Congress. There's a little disproportionality there. And it is being challenged by the NAACP. But for right now, it looks like the Republicans stand to gain 5 more seats simply by a little alteration of congressional districts. It's not right. It does violate the 15th and 14th Amendments, in my opinion, as far as equal representation. So over to California, Governor Newsom is trying to counterbalance that. We're fighting fire with fire. And they're going to redistrict their districts probably, or redraw them, although they're going through a public referendum about it, unlike Texas. And so they're going to counterbalance those extra 5 seats in Texas that the Republicans are going to get.
Do you think that they're going to be successful? Do you think it's going to go through?
I think California will. Texas, it's going to be a slugfest because it will go to court. It's going to go to federal district court, as you know, under the Voting Rights Act, under Section 2, that gives standing to individuals and civic organizations to challenge these kinds of state official acts that interfere or impede the rights of minority representation, equal representation. I suspect that on the district level in Texas, those federal district court judges have indicated a little less bias towards one party or the other. They seem to be more neutral. In other words, they're calling balls and strikes. But it's going to automatically get appealed. It will go through the Court of Appeals in the Fifth Circuit, and then it will go on up to the Supreme Court. And that's where we have the problem. Are we going to uphold Voting Rights Act, and are we going to damage the 15th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause of 14th Amendment? So
and by the way, I just want to, for people who don't understand the civics issue of this, it is legal and lawful for states to change their districting based on partisan issues. They can do that. What is illegal is to do it under racial lines, and that's kind of where a lot of this issue comes up to play. So the challenges that Texas has to make is going to be controversial, and I'm not sure they'll be successful, but knock on wood, they could be.
Ken is absolutely right about that. So, and they overlap a lot. The race and the politics, they overlap a lot. And usually what is good for the Republican Party seems to not be so good for racial minorities in Texas. So it's going to be an interesting battle in court.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Reed. And again, we depend on Reed for a lot of the time on the legal aspects of issues that we are discussing. It's very important, folks. We have a country that is being taken away from us piece by piece by people coming in and putting in everything that is against the ethos and the spirit that the country was founded on. And that is something that we cannot allow to happen on our watch. You have been tuned in to the Lightning Strike. We come every Sunday on WCPT, and starting next Sunday, which is September 7th, we will be coming on from 8 o'clock in the morning. So please ask your smart speaker to play WCPT, or ask Google to play WCPT, or you can go to the heartlandsignal.com website. I see Ken chuckling over here because...
Hey, Mohammed, quick question.
Yeah.
The number, because now we're going to start when we go to that 2-hour format, we're going to be taking, very short clips from people. When I was in college, I had a radio show. We called it the bitch line. Okay. So if there's something, it doesn't matter what it's about. You could be talking about the neighborhood shelter that wants to give away free puppies, or you can talk about whatever. But if you call in on this line for a short piece, we want to incorporate that so you have a voice on what's important to you as well. And Mohammed, what is that number?
The number is 312-TLS for the Lightning Strike, 312-TLS-8182. We got 1 minute to finish off the show today. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Dr. White, for bringing in great guests. We had Bird's Publishing and Bird's Eye View of how to publish a book. That was
Dr. Bird.
so good. Heather Bird was our person of the week today. And again, folks, if you want to join the conversation, please send us a text message, or you can leave us a voice message, or you can go to our website, which is tlschicago.com. It's 10 o'clock. Time for us to wind up the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week, same place, same time.
Bird is the word.